Geico presents sharing versus oversharing. Earlier this week, Claire Tippins shared a princess nickname generator, 3 pictures of her dog wearing a tutu, and 2 online quizzes, including what candy is your dream castle made of? Claire, your sharing has tipped the sugar scale and turned into oversharing. But have no fear, princess. Geico has something worth sharing with your internet kingdom, like how you could save hundreds on your car insurance just by visiting geico.com. No magic wand required. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to officially the start of meteorological spring as we get 2016 racing season underway. I am Damian Bean. You are listening to the Dirt Talk Hour, powered by 110 Nation Sports, sponsored by YellowCautionFlags.com. You can find both of those guys all over social media. Got a potentially new sponsor coming on board we're going to be talking a little bit about here in a little while. Want to wish everybody at 110 Nation a very, very happy 5 years. They are celebrating their 5 years anniversary this week, and went from an idea from Mr. Jason McMillan, and he put it into motion. And 5 years later, he has 110 Nation definitely on the map, bringing you fine shows just like the one you enjoy here with us every Sunday evening. He does a lot of his own stuff with the stick and ball sports and some hockey stuff throughout the week, a couple of other racing shows. And, Chris, we seem to have gotten ourselves involved with a really good project, and I'm happy to see it growing, brother. How you been this week?
Yeah, we're just glad to be here, and, once again, a big shout-out to 110 Nation. It's been great to be a part of the growth, and we definitely have a little short but smart staff, and I think, the growth is earned. It's success is judged in every ounce that you give, and
Absolutely.
I think that the core group that we have around us, man, has just been unbelievable. It's teamwork and it's a group effort, and the radio shows are growing. And I think the next stage in this is what we really want to see is we want the fan to say, hey, it's Monday night, hey, it's Tuesday night, hey, it's Wednesday night. Give them a reason to come to 110 Nation every night to get a good show, whether it be a stick and ball sport or, auto racing, whatever it may be. I'm actually a fan of many different sports. Racing is my passion. But I think, like you played baseball probably when you were young, being from the Midwest, and I'm from the South, so football is pretty big around here, and that's kind of how we temp ourselves through the winter time when we don't have any dirt track racing. So if you're interested in sports and you want a place you can call home with authentic news and reporting from the small town station. The station is actually in Olivia, North Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, Damian, he's in Missouri, and I'm over here in Mississippi.
Scattered.
But, yeah, so we're able to put all this together, and hopefully one day we'll have one home that we call home. And until then, it's just great to work with you guys. We got a little bit of dirt news to go into. Yellow Caution Flag media team got to go out this weekend. Unexpectedly, we showed up at Magnolia Motor Speedway for a great race. I think what was on our mind and everybody else's mind was, man, we've gotten rained out so many times. It is sunshiny but cold. Well, let's go racing. And I tell you what, it was a fine turnout indeed. 111 cars were there for 4 classes. He had 40 crate late models and just a full stack of street stock cars, factory stock cars, and super late models were there. David Brazil, the Raging Rebel, took home
Louisiana, man.
That super late model win. He took off, boy. He was a rocket ship. He outrun Ronnie Lee Hollingsworth, right foot Ronnie Lee, in the number 18 Incorporated. And then in the crate side, Scott Deadwilder, man, he has him a sharp ride in that 33. He took home the victory in the crate late model. In the street stock side, Ronald Dunn in the high roller race cars took home the street stock win. He had a really good car, and that 17 seems to be hooked up at Magnolia Speedway. Rides real good on the black ice. And then the factory stock was Patrick Easterling. We want to give a special shout-out to Patrick Easterling. He got him a win. I think he lost his dad not too long ago, and so I think it was his first time out, and he got a win, and that's really big for people, in this industry, man. When you've raised up in the racing family and you lose somebody that's taught you the tradition and the meaning of life through racing, it's always tough to lose that loved one. And also, we had a loss ourselves that we would like to take a minute to remember. Kenny Ross of the Leftwoods Racing 777 team. He was the crew chief. He was known as Daddy. Everybody knew him as Daddy. That was Daddy. And unfortunately, he passed away a few days ago. And it's been a really hard time on the 777 team. And we just want to give our thoughts and prayers to Brandon Leftwoods and E.T., Travis, Amanda Williams, and all the long-time listening crew. I tell you what, if it's been one crew and one team that's followed us from the start, it's been that 777 team. And on the bright side, I do have something to say. It was really cool to see Biscuit, since we're talking about that. His son made his debut this weekend at Magnolia Motor Speedway. So, and Spencer Hughes, got to give a shout-out to Spencer Hughes, who was on the show not too long ago. He come through the field there at the end and got the position from Mr. Smooth, Kevin Whittington, in that 007, and come home on the podium. He finished third. So a big shout-out to Spencer Hughes and that brand-new car that he's got. He's looking forward to a really good year. You'll see him next weekend at the Battle of the States there in Wynot, Mississippi. It's Wynot Motorsports Park. It's going to be 8 classes. Drivers' meeting starts at 3. But don't forget, practice is on Friday night. But you can ride on down there to Hattiesburg Speedway in the heart of Dixie. They got a little dirt track down there, 30-plus years of tradition. And you can go out there and win you some money because Hot Laps pays $0. But we just want you to go out and support your local tracks this weekend, make sure that you're having a good time, and we are praying to get the R word in and keep the other R word out. Damien, what you got?
Well, we tried to get a little bit of racing in up here finally this year in the Midwest. Belle Claire Speedway in Belleville, Illinois, the little 5th Mile Bull Ring. Been racing for a little over 60 years now, and it's not one of those tracks that's off on the outskirts of the country. I mean, the McDonald's, the hospital is right across the street from the fairgrounds there, and they've been slinging dirt there for a long time. They tried to have the Shamrock 40 as their season opener, and we had a little bit of snow, and then it turned into rain, and then, well, meteorological spring just didn't happen for us this weekend. So they're going to try to make up that event, I think, with double features next week. They haven't said anything, but I would imagine that's where they're going to go. So hopefully we can get that in a couple more weeks. Tri-City Speedway, Pontoon Beach, Illinois. They will be starting their 2016 program. They're going to have the usual UMP Super Late Models, UMP Modifieds, B-Mods, Street Stocks, Pro 4s, and a host of special events throughout the year. They'll be hosting Lucas Oil shows, World Outlaw Sprint Cars, ACS shows. They'll have the USAC Golden Nationals again at the end of the year, Modified Mania, and one of the premier dirt tracks here in the Midwest. And they have a schedule this year that's sure to make people happy, and it's not going to disappoint. But, man, we got a pretty good show lined up tonight. We got Brent New going to be coming on with us here in just a little while, third-generation guy out of Arkansas, going to be getting back in the car this year for the first time in a while after an accident. Put him in the hospital and sidelined him for a while in racing, so going to get his thoughts on that, what the road to recovery was like, and how he feels about climbing back into the car after such a traumatic event. We're going to hear from him in just a little bit. Then we're going to head out to Ohio. If he was listening last week, we had Rusty Schlenk on, and he has a little program that he does out there to support youth in racing, and we just happened to have the young man that won that event, or won that award from him. He's going to be on about 8:30. Talk with him a little bit. And then, Chris, who you got coming on there from your neck of the woods there about, 9 o'clock?
Well, we got Joey Hiatt, the 28 team, over there from Clark County, Mississippi. Joey's been in racing quite a few years. Stepped up from the street stocks here a few years ago. He's a working man, so he doesn't get to come out as much. But we'll have somebody listening in tonight that's in the mountains. But typically, when they listen to this show, his name's Kelvin Hiatt. Typically, when he listens to the show, he's in Saudi Arabia. So we're all over the world, y'all. Just wanted to put that plug in there. Also, we got a first-time listener, Charles Young. Chow yow. You keep on chubbing, Bubba. Shout out to you. Tammy Davis, thank you for listening. Rosie, thank you for listening. These guys keep coming back, and we appreciate the support. Yeah, no doubt. Now, I think we've got the guest in the studio. Why don't you introduce us to our first guest here, Damien?
Yeah, as I was saying, going to travel down to Arkansas, the Ozark Mountains, and talk to a third-generation driver. Got one of the cooler cars you ever seen. He drives one of those 70-style Camaros. And Brent New, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
Good. How are you, man?
Oh, I'm good. Hey, by the way, Brent is a regular on the dirt tracking game that we talk about quite a bit here on the show. And, man, I'm telling you what, you took it to us here in the Summer Nationals, man. You spanked us. Congratulations on that win.
Thanks, man. Heck, that was something fun to do. I don't think I'm going to run points like that again. No, that was very hard to do everyday life and find time to run a points race on a video game.
Yeah, there's some really good guys that like to play that game. But man, let's talk about what you got going on this year. Your first year back in the car after you had a pretty bad accident, man. Tell us about that.
Well, I run the street stock division at Batesville Motor Speedway. I'm sure many people know about it. Really, really fast cars. Actually, one or two of the cars that are going to be put on the dirt tracking street stock game, or I raced against a few of them guys. I was running a big show up there. They got them big money races, and I went up a week before. My dad told me don't do it. I done it. I was young and stupid, but I went up there a week before, try to get some time in, seat time on the car, because it's, a 2.5-hour drive up there, so I really didn't run there weekly. And went up there and lost my cool, got into it with a guy and got sent to the back, and then the first lap after the caution, a guy that had never been there before got up in the marbles and spun out. Come down the track, we were probably going anywhere from 70 to 90 miles an hour. I don't know. I ain't never been clocked up there, but he hit the right side of my car, and when he did, his front bumper actually went entirely through my car, hit my seat. Sorry about that. Hit my seat bracket and messed my car up pretty bad. Gave me a real bad case of whiplash. Sorry about that.
Hey, I understand it's allergy season, and I'm suffering right there with you, as is a lot of people, but...
I've been coughing up crap all night. Anyway, I was fine. I was hyped up on adrenaline until I went to crawl out of the car and realized something was wrong. Laid down on the track, and ambulance come and got me. And I was actually not wanting to go to the hospital, but they made me. The ambulance gave me kind of like a physical.
Right.
Made me go. Anyway, it was a scary deal, and the only thing left of the car was the motor, and I wasn't thinking. We took the motor out, and it actually froze and busted sitting in the corner of the shop. So I completely had to restart on everything.
Right.
But after 3 years, finally got a decent paying job. It's looking in the next month or two, I'll be back running with everybody.
What are you planning on
tell
running?
Tell us something, Brent. This is Chris from YellowCautionFlag.com. Was this a situation where safety measure was in place and it went faulty, or is this something that could be innovated? And tell us if you've already come up with an idea how to keep this from happening again, because obviously your feet are pretty darn important. And we've, from the NASCAR side, of course, you've had Kyle Busch, who's broken his legs, Tony Stewart, who broke his legs. Have you come up with anything innovative that would protect your body a little bit better? And also, I guess, I don't mean to bundle up the questions, but what kind of containment seat were you in?
Well, it was actually my upper back that I injured. When I tried to crawl out of the car, something, shooting pains, and all I knew was I needed to lay down for it to stop. I was actually trying to save up money to buy a full containment seat. I was in a old Ultra Shield seat. It was older than me. It's just one someone gave to me. I shouldn't have been running it, especially not at a fast track like Batesville. When I didn't have any neck restraints or anything on. So my new car, I've went the extra mile. I've bought the new Ultra Shield full containment seats, the newest version, and the next purchase I'm gonna buy before I'm allowed to race. My fiance, she ain't gonna allow me to race unless I have one, is either a Hans device or some kind of neck restraint like that.
Yeah, definitely. Right, I like to hear that, and you got a good wife there. I hate to hear that you got back problems. I've had a few myself, and 2.5 years. It's been a long recovery to get myself well again, and just tons of problems have come on top of it. And how's that worked out? Have you had to go through therapy and all? Tell us about the actual injury there.
Well, the first time I went. The night I went to the hospital, they said everything was fine, but if there was any minor, not major damage, it's not going to show up right away. And it don't help that I run a log skidder every day, jumping over stumps in the logwoods. My back, it does hurt, from time to time. If I stand up for a while, it'll start hurting up close to my neck area. And my grandma was a nurse. I went to the doctor. I'm still paying the bills on that doctor visit 3 years ago, and I'm scared to death to go get another CT scan, whatever they do, because it's kind of broken.
Yeah, that's a personal choice there, and as a racer, I think that sometimes it's you learn as a person, not just as a racer, to deal with certain pains in life. Now, do you believe that this seat could have helped you in that situation? Because it really does sound like that you kind of regretted not having a containment seat. If you were to advise somebody, would you go ahead and advise them to purchase a containment seat?
Yes, sir. My dad's never had a containment seat, and he's actually built a new car this year that I helped him with from time to time. He sat in my seat, and I told him he needed to get one just for that simple fact. My fiance's brother, his name's Neil Kemp, owner of Club 20 Suspension. He actually flipped a car in at Batesville a few weeks before I had my wreck. If he wouldn't have had full containment seat, he might have broke his neck, because the cage actually come down on the roll cage actually come down on his seat. If he'd have just had a regular old seat, it'd have probably come down on him.
Oh, man. Right. And race fans, as we're talking about this, we got to remind y'all, the sport now is safer than it's ever been, and fortunate, and we don't want to jinx things. The death rate at racetracks are nowhere near what they were in the 50s and the 60s and stuff. And innovation and technology is all bringing this up. And really, guys, in the last several years, they're just not really getting to the Hans device. If you're a longtime NASCAR fan, I know you'll say, man, we've had the Hans device since we lost Earnhardt. Well, look, these guys are just now getting into this technology. You're realizing that these cars are built for speed now. They're not old junk cars. These cars are manufactured and built by professionals, and they need every proper safety gadget that an industry can offer. And I beg the industry right now, the people that help save these lives, to remember when they market things and when they price things that they're there to to save people's lives and make it affordable for those people and those racers to be able to have this kind of safety equipment. Damien, what you got?
Hey, Brent, before all this happened, looking back, like we were talking about earlier, third-generation guy, your dad got you into racing. Looking back, what was it specifically that got you to where you wanted to drive? Was it just watching family, watching your dad, or was it just something one day you just said, I wanted to try it, or how'd that work out for you?
Well, it was mainly just, every weekend I'm at a racetrack, and I figured, my dad, when I was little, got me a go-kart. I didn't run it long because most of the outlaw, them bigger, faster go-karts, they didn't have anything like that around here.
Right.
So I'd just go to the track, watch him. I had a good friend named Taylor Carr. His dad kept his car at our shop a lot. And when they weren't there, we had a racetrack back in the back of our pasture. We'd go out there and run four-wheelers on it. And Dad come out there one day and like to tore my butt up about it. He was pretty upset. We could see it from the road. And just a big old dirt pile in the middle of the pasture where we were running these four-wheelers around. But it wasn't too long after that, him and my dad and Taylor's dad, they got us both, some cars and started us in the lower division. Then we just started working our way up. That was really what got me into it.
That's what got the bug. Yeah, the bug got him hooked there, Damien.
Yeah.
Now, other than the Batesville Speedway, where else do you guys like to go? Have you done much traveling outside of Arkansas?
Yes, sir. I've been anywhere. I've been to Tri-State. I've been to in Oklahoma, right there at the Oklahoma-Arkansas line. I've been to West Plains a few times. My dad, he's been about everywhere I reckon. Before, when I was real little, I can't hardly remember it. He'd travel everywhere. He actually ran the speedway at Senegal, Arkansas for a few years. So that was kind of my home track, I guess you could say. When I wasn't traveling, I was racing there every weekend.
As far as 2016 goes, you have a specific series that you plan to go for points, or are you just going to kind of work on easing your way back into the race car and just kind of see what happens?
Yeah, I'm not really. It might be a few years before I run for points anywhere. I kind of just excited to actually get to drive something again. I am going to travel these, street stock shows. Like, most tracks local to Batesville carry Batesville Speedway street stock rules. So, like Wheatland, they're a little different, but they have that big buck 50. I plan on going to it. I plan on going.
Kenny Carroll.
Yeah, Kenny Carroll. I know him.
Hey, let me ask you something. Are you coming down to the Southern Street Stock Nationals at Why Not Motorsports Park in August?
If I got, yeah. I plan
that
on
one had
going down there.
Almost 100 street stocks show up in August, man. I'm telling you, this event is huge. And if you're a street stock follower, man, make sure you come on down for that. Y'all at Nee Smith sanction now, right?
Sorta. I'm not really sure on the rules. Like my car was built for the rules 3 years ago, so right. I just left it alone. I know you can have tubulars. They changed the rules up a little bit for the Nee Smith cars, I think, so they can get some of them up there. And I seen where that, I don't know what track it is. It might have been Why Not, the Battle of the State street stock race. They were allowing the Batesville street stocks to run there.
That's this coming weekend here.
Yeah. If I had a car put together, I'd definitely be there too. I'm probably gonna do a lot of traveling, not a lot of local racing, because I might not get to race every weekend. So when I do race, I'd like to go off and enjoy myself and run for the bigger money.
Now, Brent, we have a fan question from a Dirt Talk Hour alumnus, and we were just talking about Kenny Carroll, and I guess he's listening because he just sent me a message, and he wants to know if you plan on coming to Lucas for the Big Buck 50.
Oh,
Yeah, I plan on coming down. I actually got a Kenny Carroll hat in my truck right now.
Start writing them checks, man. You're coming to the big ones.
Kenny Carroll excavating hat that Neil Kemp gave me. I reckon he gave him a bunch of them, and he asked if I wanted one. I said sure. And now, heck, I might be able to sell it since he's going to be in a video game, I reckon.
Yeah, the dirt tracking game, and we're connected to them as well. So this is really cool, man. Yeah, Kenny Carroll was a guest on our show a few weeks ago. Man, told us about outrunning the airplane. I think that's a superstar guy right there. I don't know who's going to be able to run with him. Be interesting to see him come down here to one of these Mississippi races. What do you think, bud?
Yeah, I don't know. I ain't seen him at Batesville in a few years. I don't go to a bunch of the Mississippi. I ain't really been to any of the Mississippi races yet. I plan on coming down there this year though. But heck, the last time I raced, one of the last times I raced, he was still in a Camaro, I think. I'm not sure. I don't think he even had his Monte Carlo yet. But I plan on going to the Big Buck 50. I've wanted to go pretty bad, but I about got my car ready. I'm probably going to go to Wheatland and West Plains on just regular nights, too, just to get some practice for them big races.
Now, I know you say you had a lot of help getting this car put back together for this year. Tell us a little bit about the car. What is it, and what are you going to be running for a power plant?
I got a 377. It's like a D-stroke 400, I think. I don't know much about it. It's just the motor my dad gave me. I've had it rebuilt this year. It was actually rebuilt when I let it freeze and bust, but I took it to a motor guy and told him, I want it done right, and he said he'd take care of me. But this car is built similar to my older car because when I started building it, these rules weren't like they are now, and I just ain't really, kept up with the rules. I've just been focused on finishing it. There ain't much. The biggest difference in this car and my older car is probably the equipment that's going to be on it. It's taken me 3 years because I don't go to a parts store and go to the used aisle, if you know what I'm saying.
Right.
There's not many used parts on it, if there is any. If I got to buy a bolt for it or run to the bolt store and buy a bolt for it, I didn't want to take any chances. You can't go to these big races like the Big Buck 50 and, go to the West Plains, Missouri.
Now, Brent, you get me over here. You got me imagining this car, man. I hope before the end of the show here, you posted some pictures over there on our Dirt Forum. If you don't know where it's at, it's look up the Dirt Talk Hour. It's weekly Dirt Forum, and post those pictures over there, man, and get involved with us. That way we can stay in touch with you. Okay,
man, I sure will. It ain't. It's got the body and everything on it. I ain't got the wrap yet. I'm kind of waiting to see if I get everything done. I got enough money to go race instead of buy a wrap. I think I'm just gonna put duct tape on it for a week.
There you go. We'll call it if you throw us one on there, we'll call it a shop pick sneak peek, man. We got a little thing going there, and we'll throw a couple of hashtags on there as well. So now so you've been in racing for how long now?
Since 2009. So
since 2009. Tell us about your car number.
44. My dad's number was 43, and most kids that race after their dads, they keep their dad's number. I just wanted to one up my dad, so I said I'm gonna run 44. My grandpa's number was actually 1. I don't know where he got that number. I think back then when they didn't have decals, it was easier just to spray paint a 1 on the car.
He just wanted you to remember that he was number 1. Okay, don't Brent? Because you always look at Grandpa. That's number 1. Yeah, he had that in thought many generations before you.
Yeah, I never got to see him race. He was done before I was born, but. My dad actually, I can't remember what track it was. He was running a track in Texas, and they actually assigned you numbers, kind of like NASCAR. Nobody could have the same number. And I think 43, and there was 2 others that were left, so that's how he ended up with 43. And then I just went one up from there, said 44.
Nothing wrong with that. Damon, you want to close this out, man?
Yeah, absolutely, sir. Brent, we definitely like to hear what your season is going to be about with you trying to get back into racing, and we're glad that you're going to try to get back into the sport that you love, and wish you all the best. And I want to thank you for being on with us, and definitely keep in touch with us and let us know how this year goes for you, man.
I will,
hey,
man.
You got to give us a chance to say thanks to his sponsors and stuff, man. We can't forget that.
Your sponsors. Definitely got to plug your sponsors before you get out of here, bud.
Well, about my only sponsors is probably Tommy New Racing Fabrication. My dad, he's helped me a lot. You know, if he bought something for his new car and it didn't work out and it fit mine, we'd put it on mine. But besides that, I ain't really got many sponsors. Just, you know, my friends that help me work on the car. That's about it.
Right. Well, I just got another message from Mr. Kenny Carroll, and he says whenever you plan on coming up for the Big Buck 50, just give him a holler, and he will throw a jug out and save you a spot, buddy.
All right.
All right. Well, Brent New, thank you very much, and good luck this year, man.
Yeah, make sure you stay in touch.
Yes, sir.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, folks. Arkansas's Brent New going to climb back into the seat after a pretty bad injury that left him with some back problems, and took a lot of people to get him back into the seat and a lot of time, but they're going to make a go of it, Chris, and it's definitely a good story when somebody goes through something like that and they're able to overcome whatever they went through mentally to get back in it and pursue what they love.
Well, you know, I wasn't trying to harp on the safety industry either in auto racing. I know that they try to be as affordable as possible, but you know, guys, let's recycle these seats, and you know, and a lot of times, you know, remember that that's probably going to save a kid's life. I think what probably scares me the most, Damien, is being at a racetrack and seeing somebody that's not been in racing very long, and they completely are not thinking about the safety concept. They're thinking, I want to get on the racetrack. What do I got to do to get on the racetrack?
Right. And
you putting yourself at unnecessary risk. You know, for $600, you'll be able to get you a lot of safety stuff that, you know, that $600 could spend you well if you're going to spend it completely on safety on your car. If you're spending $800 on the car, $1,100 on the motor, spend $600 on the safety things for it, because we don't want to see any drivers get hurt. And these days with these containment seats and these, you know, the did you see the wreck in Formula One? I mean, did you see that guy? I mean, that was the most vicious wreck that I've ever seen in my life. And he got up next to the wall and got out of that little containment cockpit. That's the safety, you know, engineering that our sport has developed over the years. And, you know, in the 60s and 70s, you know, that guy would not have had a chance.
And well, look what happened to Kyle Larson today.
Other than a miracle from God, and I'm not saying that the miracle from God didn't happen on his behalf either, but there again, this stuff is studied. I think that the tubing that they're in is similar to the same tubing that they used in on space shuttles and Air Force cockpits. So, you know, a lot of technology is being put into the safety aspect of racing, which brings the cost of racing up, and without a doubt. But try a lower class and spend more on the safety, because a lot of those safety things can be, you know, your fire suit, your Hans device, all that can be used in whatever class you're running in. And, guys, make sure that y'all have a race receiver, too. Most tracks always have a race receiver, and it's pretty important.
Yeah, absolutely. Safety has come a long way. And a lot of these lower classes, like your modified, your street stocks, your sportsmen's, late models, are taking pages right out of sprint car racing, who is taking pages out of Formula One and IndyCar racing. And, you know, you'd be surprised at the innovation and safety features that have made their way from pavement racing to dirt racing, and it's really made a huge impact, and it's already saved a lot of lives, especially with, like, the open wheel guys and the sprint guys and the midget guys. There was a point in time where they were just milling away to go as light as they possibly could. Well,
right.
As we had Jeff Swindell on a few weeks ago, he was able to tell us that since all that stopped, and they've actually put a cap on the weight now, with the only race not having a weight limit being the Chili Bowl, but now drivers don't have the luxury to just keep milling these cars away, lighter tube frame. It's really made a lot of safety improvements, and that's the direction we need to keep going. But moving on with the show, our second guest, I do believe, has made his way to the studio. 16-year-old guy out of Ohio, Drew Smith. If you listened last week, we had Rusty Schlink on, and Drew, you got a little something from Rusty here this year, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I won a sponsor.
He's got that little program he's got going on, and he was on last week with us, and he was telling us a little bit about it. But you are the winner this year, and man, how's that make that confidence going into 2016 for being in a late model for the first time?
Oh man, it was great. I mean, I couldn't thank him enough for putting on the sponsorship for these younger kids of us, and I mean, it helped out a lot. I mean, with getting that sponsorship, and it'll be.
And what went through your mind when you got that phone call or that email or text message or whatever it was, and you found out that you were actually the recipient of that this year?
Actually, we were all up in the middle of the crowd, and he was going through saying out who was the winner. I mean, I was so happy, and I couldn't stop smiling, and I was so happy for everybody that came out. And I mean, I had a lot of families and friends and fans that all came out to support me. I mean, couldn't thank them enough to come out and support me.
Now, you're a second-generation driver. Your dad got you into racing at a young age. Out in Ohio, I mean, who were the guys you were looking at out there besides your old man that really got you bit with the racing bug?
Well, my uncle also raced out there, and he was always a class above my dad. He raced Sportsman. My dad started out in Bombers, and I always was watching them and growing up, and always kept an eye to see how they did it and what they were doing and stuff. So I always knew I always wanted to be in racing, and the dream was always to become a late model driver, and now here it is this year, 2016. My dream came true.
Yeah, you've had a lot of success in the front-wheel drive class out there at Oakshade. 4 years in that class, and you won 2 championships. That's pretty consistent right out of the gate, man.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it wasn't easy, though. I mean, my first year, it was up and downs. I mean, getting used to the car and never raced before, so kind of was new. And I kind of got it figured out. First year, I finished third in points. And the second year, I came out and won the track championship. I mean, there's a lot. That was a close year in points. I mean, came down to last weekend, and it was tough running that Hornet class. And I mean, the competition was hard. There's always a lot of count of cars out there. And it was a big step for being first year out there. And it was always fun. I mean, great guys out there racing with, and it's always a good time.
Well, Drew, tell us about what you got planned for this year. Tell us what your future has in hold for you.
Oh, this Friday I think we're going to head out to Attica for our first night racing, and my goal is to travel a little bit. I mean, hit up different tracks around the Ohio and Michigan area. I think we're going to stick with Oakshade, hopefully hit Oakshade every night and get perfect attendance, and hopefully I can get the Rookie of the Year. I mean, first year in late model, hopefully I can get it. And I think we're going to run Attica about every other weekend, and hopefully we can win some races. I mean, that's a goal. That's what we came out to do, help my sponsors out, to promote them more, and hopefully we can do it. Hopefully we can have a good season.
Tell us about this late model you got here. What kind of chassis you going to be running? What's the power plant in there?
Oh, it's a rocket chassis, and it's an SV22 motor.
I got you. And you say you're going to be running hopefully all of Oakshade and Attica, a little bit of traveling beyond the state of Ohio, you think?
Yeah, that's my goal, man. That's what I hope to do, and I think a couple of weeks we're going to go up to Michigan. There's quite a few tracks up there, lower tracks, and it would be fun. I mean, I've always wanted to travel, and last previous years in the sportsman classes, there wasn't too much of traveling. You could only stick to one track, really. It was Oakshade. Right. I mean, There wasn't much of traveling. Like, last year we hit up hit up Kokomo, Indiana last night of racing. That was fun. It's always fun to go out there and race, but that's about the only 2 tracks we could race at last year.
Now, you're 16, right?
Yes, I am.
How you got all this experience? You're so composed, and are you the youngest in the field, or is there several young guys competing with you?
Well, I'm the youngest, but there's a kid that's 17, and there's also the kid in 18 that was in sportsman class last year. Then this year, moving up to late model classes, all 3 of us moved up. So
wow,
I'm the youngest,
cool.
but there's 3 of us that's pretty close in age.
Right. Now, what about school and all? Are you homeschooled, or are you still in school, or what's up with that?
No, I'm still in school. I go to school every day. I gotta get good grades to race. I gotta stay above a 3.0. So I gotta study hard. It's a lot.
Tell us about book reports on the hauler. Is there very many of those?
Yeah, I mean, if I have a seat, I'm allowed to race. So I mean, I gotta keep my grades up, and they're pretty strict about it when it comes to it. My grades, they're pretty strict, and they want me to have good grades. And good grades, if I have good grades, I'm racing. If I don't, I'm not.
Tell us about the popularity at school with auto racing. I mean, do they look at you like the senior quarterback, or how do they treat your? Because you're a superstar to us. What are you to your classmates?
I mean, quite a few of them know. Quite a few of them come out to support me, and I don't know. I mean, everybody basically knows, and they all think it's sweet. And quite a few kids around school I have T-shirts, and I think it's sweet. There's a couple other kids that race at Northview. I go to Northview High School, and there's 2 other kids that race there, and it's pretty fun. I mean, they all enjoy it. All enjoy coming out and watch. And
now, have you guys ever thought about getting together and bringing your cars up to the school, or you know?
No.
Y'all are a great promoting tool, being racers yourself and young, to get these younger guys, the younger generation, at the racetrack. Because I mean, nobody likes the mall anymore. Let's go get dirty.
Yeah, no, we've never really brought them up to school before. I guess I've never thought about that, or never really put any thought into that, seeing if we could even. I don't know.
Yeah. Now, making this transition from the sportsman class to the late model class, do you have anybody that you can kind of lean on? I imagine you can ask Rusty for all the tech support you can, but how big is the learning curve going to be for you, your dad, and everybody involved with your effort to jump into this car and make it fast?
I think it's going to be, I got to thank Rusty a lot, because I think he's going to be my fallback guy, too, if we need any problems or have any questions. I think he's going to be there a lot to support me. But, I mean, it's going to be a pretty big learning curve. We got bigger motor, bigger tires this year. I mean, it's going to be a little bit different than that sportsman classes last year.
I'm intrigued to talk about the promoting contest and what you did that set you aside from everybody else.
Well, what I did, I was all over Facebook, asking everybody I knew, friends, family, the fans that come out to support me. I basically got everybody I knew to come out to this party and support me and vote for me, and it worked. I mean, I got to give a special thanks to my dad and my uncle and my stepmom for helping me to get more people to come. If it wasn't for them, I don't know if I would have won it.
Sounds like that energizes you. You had a little bit of extra ump in your voice when you said that. Does that kind of support give you? Does it help you behind the wheel?
Yeah, I mean, knowing my dad's there for me all the time. I mean, he's never really yelled at me. He's always just encouraged me to, you'll get it, you'll do better. I mean, he's always in my mind when I'm racing.
Now, is your dad one of those kind of guys that he'll let you make your own mistakes and just kind of sit back and observe, or is he somebody that's real quick to offer you advice and tell you where you need to do this to improve, or how does that work?
Yeah, he gives me advice. Yeah, he tells me what I can do better, how to get in the corners better if I'm having a problem. He normally tells me, most of the time it works. I mean, what to do different to make it a little bit quicker.
Now, being as you come from a front-wheel drive class and coming out of the sportsman class now, I'm sure you've probably already gotten comfortable with the driving style, whether it be, catfishing on the bottom or wide open on the cushion. Jumping into the slate model, do you think that's going to be able to translate to the way you like to drive the car, or do you think you're going to have to learn to drive the car what the track gives you?
Yeah, for sure. I think I'll have to learn to drive the car how the track is. But I mean, that was kind of how it was last year. I mean, it wasn't just one it's more, the track of Oakshade is more like it's more of a driver, not the car, not the track. I mean, you got to find the grip. It's not going to always be in the same spot every week to week. And, I mean, so I'm kind of used to not always racing one line. I mean, I like the top side, but it was not always there at Oakshade. So, I mean, had to be a bottom feeder sometimes. And you got to find the grip. You got to go where the grip's at to be fast and to finish good.
Tell us what your favorite line is. I mean, is it on the top?
Yep, right on the cushion. That's where I like it. Hammer down track. This is my favorite.
Now, is this a red clay track or kind of a dark?
It's dark. It's dark dirt. Yeah, there's not too much clay. It's basically dirt. Most of the time here at Oakshade, it's normally dry slick.
How big is it?
3/8 of a mile.
High bang?
Well, now that's in comparison to Magnolia Motor Speedway up down in Columbus, Mississippi. They call it the Black Ice. It's a dark dirt track, and it slicks up real good. They call it the Black Ice there. So I bet it's kind of similar to the one you race on.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the racing scene out there in Ohio. I mean, how fierce is it to go out there and be competitive with these guys?
Oh, it's serious. There's a lot of fast guys in Ohio. I mean, anywhere you go, there's going to be a lot of competition. Oakshade, every night there's always high competition, strong competition coming out there. I mean, it'll be tough this year, but hopefully we can get it done.
Now that you plan on making the jump to late models, which is ultimately where you've always said that you've wanted to be, I mean, is there any guys out there that you've looked at over the years and kind of watched how they make their laps and patterned your driving style after?
I don't know. I mean, I've always watched quite a few of them. I don't know, everybody has a little bit different driving styles out there, and I'm not sure who would be I watch the most. It'd be more of like the smooth guys, like Noonan. He's out there. He's pretty smooth.
Mm-hmm. Who did you grow up idolizing, Drew?
What?
Who did you grow up idolizing? Who was your hero?
I always liked Matt Miller a lot.
Matt Miller.
Yeah.
What was it
was
about
his attitude? Was it his winning? What made him your guy?
This is winning. I mean, and how he talked to his fans. He was always willing to talk, and like you go up to him, he was a cool guy. I mean, just always. I don't know. I just there's something about him I liked. And
I'm glad that gets to translate from one generation to the next. And that's what it's all about. That's what keeps dirt racing going is word of mouth, because we all know we don't have the media exposure that NASCAR gets. So it's the racers and their interaction with their fans that really speak to the younger generation and really, when I grow up, I want to be just like that guy. And it's really good to hear the younger generation, such as yourself, with a very matured and humbling statement to that question.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there isn't, like you said, much advertisement out there for us, so we gotta more like us put it out there in social media and stuff.
Yeah, I don't see. How in the world did auto racing make it before social media? But really, I mean, this is 60, 70 years strong, 100 years strong if you go by Indianapolis. But word of mouth has always kept it alive. It's been a close family, a tradition, a heritage, and now we have a lot of the tools that make it capable for auto racing, dirt track racing in general, to be popular, to be seen. I joke around with a lot of people and say, back in the old day, the only time you could get any results from a dirt track was at Waffle House at 2 o'clock in the morning. So that's because the drivers were there and you were going to overhear what was going on. And I think, now there's been a trend, a change to that atmosphere.
Yeah, it definitely has. I mean, there's a lot more people out there watching it. I mean, this last 5 years, the fan base has got a lot bigger. I mean, the crowd at the racetracks have been a lot bigger from just everybody. Facebook, I mean, that's a big thing. Social media and different websites. It's getting out there. That dirt track is a thing, and it's growing. Competition has too. I mean, 5-10 years ago, it wasn't as strong as like now. Like there's a lot of good guys out there racing, and fans. I mean, fans are a lot a lot more fans than it used to be.
It's glad to hear that. Glad to hear that too. That it's think good things are going on up there. Now we always give the driver a chance to say a little something about your number, and where did your card number come from?
Oh, it comes from my grandpa. My grandpa used to race back in the day, and he was always 71. Then my dad got into racing when he was 16, and he was a 71. So it just kind of got passed down, and I took it from my dad. Me and my dad are both 71s. He also still races, and I just.
Now y'all don't race in wingtips, do you?
What? Sorry, what?
Old Dave Marcus, 71. Sorry, you don't race in wingtips, do you?
No.
Okay, we're just making sure you weren't Dave Marcus's kinfolk. So, big legend, raced a lot of dirt tracks and asphalt tracks. Legend in himself, and I love that 71 number. I always keep an eye out when I see that number out there because it's these numbers in themselves, they're legendary, and they hold a history behind them. And it's great to talk to you, Drew. It sounds like you've got a lot of great things going for you. We'd be glad to have you back on the show anytime. You can give us a call or send us a message, and make sure you join our group forum and keep in touch with who's coming on in the near future.
Cool, yeah.
Damien, you want to close it out?
Yeah, absolutely. Man, it sounds like you're a very well-spoken young man, and it looks like you're getting everything you've deserved and everything you've wanted. So any sponsors you want to thank and people you want to thank for getting you to where you're at?
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't be in the situation I am now if it wasn't for my dad and all my sponsors and everybody that puts all the hours into the car back at home. I'd have to thank RNS, Rusty Slank, for a lot, AutoZone, Ken Wells, Auto Body, TGS, H&M Exterminators, Matt Walters Auctioneering, Sunny Autos, Oasis, Jimmy that does my shocks and classical and all those sponsors.
And where can people find you on social media to keep up with you this year?
I have a Facebook page. It's Drew Smith, and also we have I think 71 Smith Racing Facebook page.
71 Smith Racing?
I think it's Smith Racing 71, actually.
Smith Racing 71. Okay. All right. Thanks, man.
Yep. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, not a problem, sir. Folks, Drew Smith out of Ohio, this year's recipient of the Rusty Schlenk Scholarship that he does every year, and great way to give back to the younger generation. Well, great thing that Rusty does, and he seemed to found himself a very humble young man to carry on the tradition. Sounds like, Chris.
Yeah. I love talking to these young kids and these young guys, and definitely don't want to call them kids, really, because I mean, my gosh, they're strapping into these, magnificent machines, and they're going out and putting on a show on for these fans every week. They've got their butts on the line. I mean, they really do. It's like I just don't understand why he's not as popular as the quarterback because, I mean, my gosh, you're talking about raw speed and roll cages. I mean, you got helmets and pads, I mean, in a round ball. Why is this guy not the most famous person at his high school? We got to change that, Damien.
Yeah, I mean, he hit the nail right on the head, too. And as you had said, social media has changed all that, and he's even said that he's noticed attendance going up at racetracks, fan followings going up via social media. So people are starting to become aware, and the word's getting out there. And I like the idea you had. Maybe him and some of his high school buddies should get their race cars together, take them to the school, and get people interested. Maybe go contact one of their local facilities, get a handful of tickets or something, and go to the school, pass them out, make it a field trip, man. Let's get people.
I'm telling you, if we've got all these young guys in racing right now, the biggest thing that we need to do is get them geared up to get their classmates and their brothers and the sisters and the cousins, because that's where it's like infiltrating the system. I mean, it's like putting a mole in there. I mean, and we've got to use these guys, but they need to be directed too, and not overused either, So we just probably just need to work on getting them involved more with the school, because I think a lot of these kids, it's an extracurricular activity, and they don't really talk much about it at school. Those who are in the community kind of know about it, but you know, for the most part, Joe doesn't know that he's riding dirt tracks on Friday and Saturday night. But you know, that's an interesting topic. I think we'll have to get back onto that. But I know we have another man in the studio. And I tell you what, the Hiatts, they've been long-time listeners, long-time followers, and I just cannot believe I haven't gotten Joey on the show here. And I was hoping to have Kelvin on as well. Joey, you there with us, man? Joey Hiatt, the 28J racing team out of Clark County, Mississippi. Joey, welcome to the show.
Appreciate it, man. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So, you know, you're a Crate Lake model driver now. This is your third season in Crate Lake model at Why Not Motorsports Sport?
Yeah, this is going to be my third year here. Started out in the street stock, ran it for a couple of years, and then we decided to move up and try these crates out.
Now, you had a stellar career in the street stocks, right? Just before the rules changed, you were tearing up Why Not in that 28J.
Yeah, I actually ran pretty good a couple of times in it. Seems like we always have bad luck in the street stocks and also carried over to the crate with us. But we had a couple of top 5 finishes. But, yeah, we didn't stick around for the Neesmith side of it, man. There's that competition out there is now something else.
Right, it is. Definitely a change from where that old black car is and what they're out there racing now, right, Joey?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's, I don't know if I could probably compete with those guys they got out there now racing, man. It's something else.
Now, I know that probably surprises a lot of listeners right now that a late model could be a cheaper investment than a street stock, but Mississippi in this area has been kind of the grassroots of the street stock movement, and we've had shows, you know, tons of shows about how these group of drivers have made grassroots racing real again. But we don't want to take away from the crate late models either. Tell us about the transition from the street stock to the late model, and what makes the late model series a little bit more affordable. Guys, these are crate motors that they run, and so it's limited horsepower. I'll go ahead and just give that heads up there.
Yeah, I don't know if it's really cheaper than a street stock, but I mean, we pretty much run the same motors. They run a 602 or we run a 604. I mean, tires, they usually run about the same. I guess what I liked about the late model as far as, you know, swapping over from the street stock, you know, if you wreck a street stock, you're out trying to find parts and having to go to junkyards and stuff like that to find something to put it back together with, as to where now, you know, you can call up one of your builders. I know I did a lot with Justin. He's helped me out a lot. So if I've been in something now, I can kind of call him. He kind of got the measurements on what I need. And as far as preparation goes, it's a lot easier to get one of these late models ready for the track as to where it is a street stock.
Right. Now, you generally just race at Why Not. You have a career that kind of offsets you from being out there every weekend. Tell us about the inner struggle of being a working man and wanting to race too.
Oh yeah. That's definitely what limits as far as my racing gets to go on a weekend basis. Because sometimes I'm gone. I know last year I was gone for a little over a month at the beginning of the season, and so the car wasn't ready before I left, and then I kind of got deployed there for a month. And as soon as I got back, which my brother, he works overseas also, and as soon as we got back together, we got back home about the same time. We kind of rushed and got it all together, and then we got to race about the second half of the season. So, you know, with me being gone time to time, and he's gone every 30 days, and he's pretty much the one that, you know, does everything for me between him and my dad. And I've got a few buddies that help me out also, but most of my buddies are in the military with me, so they usually gone when I am. So right. It's definitely hard, you know, trying to race around work, but sometimes we manage to get it done.
Tell us about the bond between Kelvin, your dad, and you, and being that y'all are separated so much, that's the real true bonding time for your family, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. My dad, he's been around racing his whole life, and actually he's the one that kind of got me into it and my brother, he's a little older than I am, and I mean, we remember going to the track, or I do, especially for me as a little kid. You know, my brother was a little bit older, and we'd go out there and help Wiley. And, I mean, that's where we always grew up. I mean, I knew on Saturday nights that I was going to Why Not Raceway. And I remember sitting up there, and then I got in the go-karts, and my brother was always talking about, you know, one day we're going to be able to afford to get us one of these race cars. And, you know, it was a dream to them. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. But, you know, it's kind of like a dream come true, because it was one day, you know, my very first race car, we found it actually going down the interstate. There was a guy hauling it to a junkyard, and my brother flagged him down. He was on his way back offshore, and he called us and said, hey, you want to race the car? I found one. We actually went and bought it from a gas station from a guy that was hauling it to a junkyard.
That's the way to do it. Now, my goodness gracious, Damien, go ahead. I had a question, but I forgot it. Go ahead, Damien.
Hey, Joey, this is Damien. Being a Midwest guy, I don't get to go down to the Southeast region much to take in any kind of race, and I just got to keep up with it via social media. But, man, from a driver standpoint, I mean, I'm sure you see different regions and different series all across the country, and you're able to keep tabs on it. I mean, how can you compare the race that you guys got down there to what we got going on other parts of the country?
I mean, I hate to sound biased about it or whatever, but, you know, everybody says, you know, wherever you're from has got the best racing. But speaking as far as, you know, around these local tracks around here, we have some, you know, we got the Nee Smith Racing Series around here, and they kind of go throughout all the tracks and stuff. But usually our local Saturday night guys, over half of them will make the Nee Smith show when they come to Why Not. And, I mean, I've seen people that, you know, races on that whole series and follows every race and does good everywhere and come down here and have to take a provisional or not even make the field of the top 24.
Yeah, Why Not's its own monster. It really is, and it attracts a lot of talent from a lot of different places. And the crate class is really a big thing down in the Southeast, and so the competition. You've got guys like Mike Boland, Scott Deadwilder, Evan Ellis, Ashley Newman. These guys come to Marcus Mingus. These guys come down and race these guys. You know, they have a Nee Smith touring series, and as Joey was saying, those guys have a tough time. The touring series guys sometimes have a tough time actually getting into the show when they come to a place like Why Not, because the competition is harder. And I've heard, you know, through racing that the reason why these boys are so hard to beat down here in the Southeast is because they do more with less. And not knocking somebody from the North, or, and I know I just made half the nation stand up and say, how dare he say that? But we are poor. and with that said, Joey, tell us about, you know, you said it was all just a dream come true. Now you have a shop in your yard, right? I mean, tell us about that.
Oh, yeah.
Going from working in the garage to a shop.
Yeah, we've always worked down there. My brother, he's got, you know, a shop out there in his yard or whatever. Then my brother, we actually just split 14 acres over here, and we're all going to move over here together. And before I built a house, I got anything to live in over here, I built me a shop first. So actually, we're kind of living in the other half of the shop.
No doubt. Now, tell us what big races are y'all planning on hitting this year, Joey?
I'm actually going to try to race every race at Why Not this year, even when my brother's gone, and as long as nothing don't come up that, you know, kind of unforeseen changes anything that I have. But I want to race every race at Why Not, and then, you know, I always try to hit the big Nee Smith races when they come around, like the Columbus and stuff like that. But I haven't really ventured out other than we went to Arkadelphia one time 2 years ago, and so pretty much it's going to do the local thing and race the Nee Smith series as it comes around to this little park.
Now you raced the Fall Classic, right? I remember one of the last races of the year. You had a magnificent run. It was like the car was just dialed in. But I think that you just barely, you just didn't get the transfer spot. Was that a B main or something? Which race am I talking about? Because I remember being, oh my gosh, there he is, he's right there, you know, and being that y'all didn't weren't able to hit so many races last year, it was, you know, pretty exciting to see you battling for a transfer spot there.
Oh yeah, we've always. I mean, every time we go, we improve a little bit, and you know, I found out when I set my shocks off this year that I raced every race last year. My whole right rear shock was busted, so. Now that we've got that fixed, hopefully we can actually dial in the car a little bit better. But, yeah, the Fall Classic, man, we had a real good run. I think I was 15th out of 52 cars qualifying and started third, I believe it was, in the heat race. You know, they was taking the top three and running third, running there comfortable. Then we had a caution in the bottom of the track was real muddy. So when I fired, I spun and fell back to fourth. And I just ran right there because I was like, you know, this is going to put me on the pole for the B main. And once again, you know, track was a little muddy on the bottom. So in the B main, flashed the gas, come to the green, and spun the wheels down there and dropped back to third. Had a good run because I was taking the top two, and the guy that was running in front of me, his steering wheel came off and locked the brakes up going into three, and that was pretty much a good pile-up, and my car got, you know, pretty much taken out. So bad luck again, didn't get to make the Fall Classic.
Man, oh man! But I tell you what, race fans, if that don't get you on the edge of the seat right there, that was a cool little detailed story about how all that come about. What is it about racing that has the Hiatt family hooked?
I really don't know. I guess it's just the smell and the atmosphere, and I mean, I mainly do it, you know, for the people. I love to socialize, and believe it or not, man, I don't think I've ever run into one bad person at a dirt track race. And we went up to Eldora and watched the World 100 a couple of years ago, you know, and you go up there and everybody's so nice. And like I said, you really never run into a hostile environment at a dirt track race. Everybody's happy to be there.
Definitely. Now you can come to a dirt race and watch a fight break out, but what's really interesting about dirt track racing is unless the track owner throws that guy out, they're going to be back in the pits next week together. It's like getting knocked down and coming right back. And the thing is the reason why they're able to come right back is because what happened last week was last week, and it's definitely unseen in any other sport, the way that the community reacts to each other. I really, you know, it's a special bond there.
Oh yeah, that's what I consider the bonding time. You know, I get to spend time with my family, and my kids absolutely love it. And you know, matter of fact, my little girl, she's always out in the shop with me. And you know, you're on my Facebook, so you see pictures with her up in my car, sitting down there with me on the creeper and stuff. So. You know, it's a little bonding time for the family. They enjoy it. I enjoy it. And we're going to keep doing it as long as, you know, we're blessed enough to do it.
Tell us about the 28J. Where did that come from?
I was an Ernie Irvan fan.
Oh, good.
That's where the 28 came from. And then, you know, when you start all these dirt track racing, everybody shows up with the same number. Somebody has to put a letter or an X or something, so I just added the J for, you know, Joey.
Now, were you an Ernie Irvan fan when he was a swerving Irvan, or were you part of the transition when he took over Davey Allison's seat? Because I wasn't much of a fan of Ernie until he took over
for Davey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was an Irvan fan when he was driving the 28. I think he drove the 4 car before the Kodak car.
Yeah, Morgan McClure. Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of in transition there when he was, you know, driving the 28.
You know, he cost Davey Allison a championship, right, in '92. He was the reason why Davey didn't win the championship in '92. Yeah. I hate to put it on you. I hate to put it on you, Swervin' Irvan. Good luck to your son. I know he's in racing now. But I mean, my gosh, I mean, what a comeback story that Ernie had. And I love the correlation of where Ernie got hurt and Ernie come back and he won it at New Hampshire. I mean, he won at Michigan. He was able to earn the seat back. Not only did he earn the chance to sit in the cockpit, but they went the next year, Robert Yates Racing, they brought in the 28. I mean, they brought in Dale Jarrett to drive the 28. And Ernie actually earned the 28 car back the following season because he miraculously, I mean, you're talking about a guy who come out there with one patch on his eye. You know, probably wouldn't be allowed to be anywhere near a race car right now with you know, the medical advice that drivers are given. But during that time, he was proving to folks that he was going to come back.
Yeah.
Now, do you still have a fan on the asphalt side that you pull for?
Yeah, I like Kevin Harvick now. You know, I was always a Junior fan also, but you know, I'm leaning toward Kevin Harvick. That's pretty much my driver there, just because of that one year when him and Carl Edwards and Denny Hamlin was running for the championship.
Right.
And you know, they asked, they had them all three sitting up there on the board or whatever, and they asked Hamlin, you know, if it come down to dumping one of these other drivers win the championship, would you? And, you know, he was like, no. And then they asked, you know, Carl Edwards the same question. He kind of veered off a little bit, but Harvick was just like, yeah, I'd dump him to win. So I was like, that's my guy right there.
That's it. Now, Joey, I got a serious question.
Said he would take his mama out.
Yeah, that's right. I know, and I'll get into that in just a second. Joey, if we had a young guy or a young child that had never been around a dirt track, if you had 2 minutes to sit there and convince him that dirt tracking is a place to come to and have a good time, what would you tell that kid? How would you influence him? What would you use to get that kid to come to a racetrack?
I'd just be one of those things, man. You just have to load them up and be like, you know, you got to experience it at least one time. And I've done that to several of my buddies. That actually.
So you're saying grab them by the arm, take them to the track, no need even talking, just straight to the business, and they'll be back from then on.
It's always actions speak louder than words, you know. I can sit there and
I love it. That's right, man. There's no better answer to that, Joey. That's why I'm sorry. I hated to cut everything off, but for some reason I just knew that you were going to nail that answer right there. And it goes back to what we say: if you can get them to the track, they'll be addicted. They'll come back unless they don't like their hair getting dirty, and they probably never should have been out there anyway if they didn't like a little dust in the air.
That's right.
Okay, now Damien, you got anything for Joey here?
Yeah, Joey, you had said that you have a job in the military and you get sent out every once in a while. Can you elaborate a little bit more on what it is you do?
Yes, I'm actually an airplane mechanic. I do the sheet metal work on them now. I used to be a crew chief on F-16s, and then I transitioned over here to the Guard, and now I work on the air refuelers. You know, they do the in-flight refueling. Mm-hmm. And I swapped over to the sheet metal shop in it, so I'm no longer like what you call a dirt dog. You know, you get out there and actually get dirty all the time. So now I just put patches on stuff as it cracks and breaks.
So you become a good fabricator, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. That's it.
How long have you been in the military, bud?
15 years. I joined straight out of high school.
Man. Well, I know everybody out there right now, with everything going on in this country, definitely a big thank you for everything that you do for us. And
oh, yeah, he's our hero, man. Anytime these guys go and put their butt on the line like that. And you know, what I guess a lot of the people don't understand is, you know, the military can give you careers. It can give you the tools that you need. Who would have ever known that he would be fabricating on airplanes and then moving that experience over to his race car? You know, I mean, who knows, man? He may have the next geometry that creates suction and downforce to the rear wheels, which gives them better traction. Who knows? Engineering is trial and error a lot of times, and you know, it's really cool to have Joey on here. Joey, tell us about the sponsors and the family and where you'll be racing at.
All right. Like I said, I'll be out there at Wine Out this year, and I'll try to run a couple of the Neesmith touring shows. But it's pretty much just me and my brother, man. We kind of race on our own dime, and definitely my dad. You know, he pitched in and helped us out a lot, and like it's pretty much just a family affair. I really don't have no big sponsors and nobody to thank other than, you know, my brother and his family and my family, because we kind of all do it together.
Yeah, now y'all are a group, so let me ask you this, and Damien, I think I know the answer to it. Hold on. Where is your favorite? What type of food do the Hiatts go eat when y'all go out? Where's your favorite place to go?
We always go to the Mexican restaurant. It seems like it.
I should have run it on the napkin.
It's also in the margaritas, But if it's going to be a shop cooking, it's definitely crawfish or shrimp.
Oh, now, the reason why I said that, Damien, is because back when I started this a long time ago, my wife and I, we were not really, we didn't know that people knew who we were. We were just, doing our thing and had big dreams and aspirations. Well, we were sitting in a Mexican restaurant, and I think it was me and my wife. We were just having lunch. And this crowd comes in, and they take up this big table in the center of the room, and they all got race shirts on. They're all cutting up and talking to each other. And I'm thinking to myself, man, they know who I am, but I don't know who the heck they are. And I couldn't hold it anymore. The guy, the older gentleman, the father, he had on an old Why Not shirt, and I said, hey, and let me tell you something. They just treated me like family. It's been really cool. I talk to Kelvin probably once a week, twice a week. Just always staying in touch, and they've supported the radio show, and they've supported our pictures and our photography, our film. Big shout out to the Hiatts there. I appreciate all y'all support.
Well, I appreciate y'all, man.
All right, bud. Well, we're glad to have you on the Dirt Talk Hour, and we'll be glad to have you back again soon.
All right, man. I appreciate it. Talk to y'all later.
All right. Thank you, Joey.
Bye.
All right.
Wow, very humble guy, man.
Oh, great family. Once again, we learned that this is a community. I love what Joey said there, that he would, not try to tell a kid, he would take a kid.
Right.
And even if I didn't like dirt track racing, I think that the stigmata that it has now, if you were a parent and the neighbor says, hey, I'm going to take your kid to the dirt track, it's about like what it was when I was growing up, when I'm going to take your kid to the skating rink. And if you're anywhere around here, you don't take your kid to the skating rink anymore because it's a violent place. And so racetracks are not, and they're well secured, and there's a good family over there, and you don't really have to worry about bad things. Unfortunately, these days, in this day and age, you have to lock your car and stuff, but unfortunately, it does happen from time to time. People's coolers and generators get taken, and somebody borrows a drive shaft every now and then, doesn't return it. But as for the people, and they, it's always the sneaky people too. It's always the ones that are behind the back. But those people will be found, and they won't be in the community anymore because embarrassment will keep people from coming out there, because in the racing community, you are who you are, and they accept you, and so. I think that it needs to be reiterated how many groups of folks around this nation are in a shop right now working on their car, washing it off, taking rivets off, replacing this and that, and it's just a family thing. It's the neighborhood thing to do, or it's the family thing to do, the family and close friends. There's a lot of shops right now with 7, 8 guys and a couple of babies and some wives, talking about what they wish they could do with the money that their husbands have already spent on the race cars. Now, this will be our segment where the open lines. Jason, do we have anybody online? Anybody want to talk?
If there's anybody that's called in, if you guys want on the show, just press 1, and that way I can plug you into the host. As a matter of fact, I have one now.
Hey, caller, how you doing? You're on the air. Hello, who we got there?
Hey.
Hey, who's this?
Rosie. This
is
Rosie again.
Hey, how are you this week?
I'm doing great. Nice to check in and see how everyone's doing.
Oh, we're doing great, Rosie. How about you had a driver from Batesville? I bet you're a fan of him now, aren't you?
Well, I just tuned in, actually. I was trying to figure out how to get my tablet to work, and it didn't really want, so give me a lowdown of what went on, and I'll talk for a minute.
Well, it was Brent New. He's a street stock driver. He was in a wreck a few years ago, but he's coming back now, and he's going to chase some of these big street stock shows, and lo and behold, he has a Kenny Carroll hat that somebody gave him, so he knows Kenny Carroll, another guest that we have had on the show. Rosie, talk to us real quick and give a shout-out to all the race fans.
Well, I wanted to say that, the dirt track world has really taught me a lot. And I'll be going to my home track this weekend, if all works out, to the Spring Nationals at Batesville. So to everyone who's listening, there will be some good racing to happen at Batesville. And, as I've learned that the dirt track world has helped me out and, has really taught me so much. And, I was back at my mother's birthday party when my friends invited me to the dirt track. And, I'd never seen something so amazing in my life. The sound, the environment was so cool. And then last season, Connie Starr, what she did for me, taking me down to the pits, I got to see and understand the other side of the dirt track world. And I was so inspired by all that. To me, the dirt track world is an escape for me. It's a way to see the world through a different perspective.
Well, we want you to think of it as the dirt life and it's real life. What we want to do, and this is something that's outside of the radio group that I'm working on privately, we're trying to bring that dirt life to exposure, because I believe wholeheartedly that 1% of the world is a race fan. But this 1% has one friend or one family member that we can bring to that track and make them a fan. Racing has the chance to grow like it never has before, and you said it yourself, Rosie. A promoter took their time to show you what racing is about. And as promoters, we need to open ourselves up, guys. We need to find these people like Rosie and bring them into the racetrack and the people that have never experienced what dirt racing's like, and because they're the future of it. Rosie, thank you for listening to the show, and make sure you listen to the On Demand and get caught up, okay?
Well, can I say one last thing to everyone listening?
Yes, definitely.
To everyone listening, don't be afraid to go to these dirt tracks. They are a place for you find family and you find friends. You meet with people you know, and you get to understand another side of life. And that is that no matter what problems you're dealing with, think about how it is to be a dirt track racer or owner, and working those teams. And you wreck one week and you take everything apart, and then you find a problem and you put it back together, and you hope and you pray that it works, and you do your best. And to see these different things that you see and understand, you apply that lesson to your own life, and to not let the small things bother you, but to achieve great things with what you have with you at the moment. And enjoy life.
Inspiring words there, Rosie. Definitely enjoy life and get to a local track soon. Make sure you keep listening to us. Jason, do you got anybody else on the line there? We're taking call-ins, 718-664-9861. Call up here and tell us why you love dirt track racing. Now, Damien, I think we can use this moment real quick to talk about what may be ahead for the dirt tracking game and the Dirt Talk Hour.
Oh, man, there's some big things coming up. There's plenty. We've been talking a lot tonight about social media and how it's really helped racing here in the States get out there and touch more people, but how many of us really know about the dirt scene north of the border up there in Canada? Next week we're going to do just that. We got 3 guys, all live north of the border, and they're going to come on and they're going to tell us about what it's like to race up there and what the similarities and the differences are between racing there and racing here in the States. So kind of be a good thing. Get a little bit of get a little bit of knowledge about how the boys up there in Canada do it and see.
Did you know that they race in Australia? Did you know that dirt racing is big in Australia? And did you know that they race backwards?
It's huge. Yeah, it's we've had a guest on my old show. Had a sprint car guy from Australia, and then we interviewed Zach Dahm. He was in New Zealand, and that's where a lot of these guys here from the States go in the wintertime. They head down there to that part of the world because it's summertime for those guys, and they're right in the middle of their race season, so they go down there to keep their skills sharp, and pays off dividends a lot for them most of the time when they're here racing in the summertime at home. So, yeah, dirt racing's huge all over the country, and, like we talked about before social media, I personally had no idea just how far-reaching that dirt racing was. I thought it was just an American thing, but it's worldwide, folks, and that's awesome.
And it seems to be taking off even further. Look, I got a buddy of mine, Dan Addison. He got to go to, I think it was Maui over the wintertime, and so he's always sending me pictures. He's a tower guy. He puts up cell phone towers, so he sends me pictures from like elevations that you wouldn't believe, brother.
Oh,
and
wow.
so he sends me these pictures of Hawaii, and I'm like, dude, where's the dirt track at? He's like, I don't think they have a dirt track. And I was like, what do you mean they don't have a dirt track? It's Hawaii. I mean, like, there's beaches, there's coconut, and then there's dirt track racing, right? No. There's no dirt track racing. I said, oh my God. So, like, for an hour, I was sitting there, I was stressed. I was like, there's no dirt track racing in Hawaii. Well, how would we get cars there? And what would we have to do? And I said, now, Dan, tomorrow when you go to head out, see if you can find a spot there where we could put a dirt track. He's like, are you serious? I'm like, man, I'm telling you, dude, like, try to find me a spot. Man, it wasn't probably 12, 14 hours later, he's sending me a picture of this most wonderful spot up on a hill. It has little cottages down the bottom, and I'm thinking, man, we need that property right there. We need to build a dirt track. Because if there's not dirt track racing in Hawaii, then we got to fix this. I mean, it's worldwide. It's a bug. It's got everybody hooked. It's got me hooked for sure.
Absolutely. And also we got some other good news this week for the show. I know we talk a lot about the game dirt tracking. We had Tim Bennett on a few weeks ago, the designer of the game, and he kind of gave us the inside and the lowdown of what it takes to make that game happen. And man-hours and money-wise, well, head on over to your app store. It's the best $3 you're ever going to spend, and pretty pleased to announce that the Dirt Talk Hour, along with 110 Nation Sports, is going to be getting their own billboard at the Elbows Up Speedway in the dirt tracking game. So that's something to look forward to. Can't wait to that is pretty exciting for me, just to see an idea for a show that we come up with, and here, lo and behold, we are in a video game. It's almost probably what these drivers feel like whenever they turn their phone on and go to race, and hey, look, there's my car. Pretty cool to be on a billboard in a video game. What do you think?
It wasn't something that I ever dreamed of either, Damien. And we've just begun. I mean, we started this show here. And Jason and I have a lot of experience behind us, and you're catching on so quick. I love the way that you had control tonight on your interviews. I could almost see you in your studio with your back propped. Just that you got your microphone right there in front of you. You got your little pen and your notepad. I mean, you seem to be in the game, and that's what makes this the professional side of Blog Talk Radio. We know that there's going to be junk out there, but we want you to be comfortable listening to us. Jason, hey man, do you have any more guests back there? Some people trying to call into the show?
No, I still have the same three people that are hanging out in the studio.
But you know what? There's Charles Young. You could call in. Ron Day, y'all are listening. Hey, Kelvin Hiatt, thank you so much, man. Continue to listen to us over there in Saudi Arabia. I hope you and your wife were having a great vacation. Go figure, the first weekend that I would bring you guys on the show, you would be out of town doing the honeydew. But I hope you're having a great time, and thank you for taking time away from her and still listening to the Dirt Talk Hour.
Hey, big shout out to Kenny Carroll for
interacting with us
via the texter tonight. That's good to
get
some alumni listening.
And now, producer, this is our favorite time of the night. Producer, what did you learn tonight?
What did you learn?
What did I learn? I learned quite a few things on tonight's show, but this week in general. One, first of all, I want to thank you guys for the shout out earlier in the show. The 110 Nation is turning 5 on April 15th, and the goal here at the 110 Nation is to have 1,000 likes on our fan page. So if you're out there listening and you are not a fan of the 110 Nation, go over to 110 Nation Sports, hit us up, like us. What we're going to do is give away 5 goodie bags, 5 straight days of goodies if we hit that 1,000 like mark. So go over there, like us, share us, let everybody know, so that way we hit our 1,000 like goal by April 15th, and we can give away a bunch of goodies. I want to also thank Kyle Busch for proving me right. I have said for years now,
I have said for years now, this man could do more on 3 wheels than most drivers can do on 4 wheels. And to watch him go one complete lap with 3 wheels and still finish second place proved what I said was correct. And still almost won that race.
He's loaded on NOS.
Series.
Is that your theory, that he's loaded on NOS? Because that was magnificent.
I just think he's the most talented driver in the racing world. Also want to congratulate Brittany Force for getting her first win today.
Yes.
For the NHRA. That was it was great to see.
And I'm telling you what, adding Alan Johnson to the mix of that team, I'm telling you right now, they just made a statement that they are a serious contender for the NHRA Countdown to the Championship, Top Fuel Championship this year.
Hey, shout out to Team Haas Formula One Racing. Way to go, American team. You've got us pulling for you. Now, producer, what did you learn?
Haas device. I didn't realize that after all these years that it was not worn at your local tracks or mandatory at local tracks. I thought after this extended period of time since Dale Sr. and they started doing all these safety features, I just took it for granted that was something that was in all forms of racing to include your local tracks. So I thought that was interesting, and I do hope that is something. I don't want to use the word becomes mandatory, but because of the safety, and like you said, when we watched that wreck of the F1 in that car, I've watched it 3 or 4 times, knowing what these safety features do. Like I said, I don't want to use the word mandatory, but at the same time, I would like to see it mandatory because of the lives that it could save. Also, 16-year-old Drew Smith, and you guys can answer this. You guys go to a lot more local tracks than I get to go to, which our season, I think Fayetteville Motor Speedway is kicking off next weekend. They had practice this weekend, so that is going to be something that I am going to be going to. Fayetteville Motor Speedway, Dublin Motor Speedway, and we'll be making my way. I think Steve Billmeyer and myself are going to be making it to Bowman Gray this year. But 16-year-olds, is that? I know that we have a lot of young drivers that come on all aspects of the shows. If it's Racing with Big Sweat, if it's the 110 Nation Sports Show, or the Dirt Talk Hour, we've been blessed with a bunch of young, talented drivers. Have we just been lucky, or is this a trend that we are seeing? Are we seeing a lot more younger drivers at our local tracks and the bright future
now that they have the opportunity and the ground has been broken, there's no turning back. We've got 6-year-olds on motorcycles. That's what I mean by we've got to infiltrate these schools. I thought churches were the way to go, and I hate to say infiltrate churches, but in a way, I mean, to carry on the tradition of racing and to get it popular and to get the sport back alive and to keep it alive, it's going to take this. And with those young kids, the perfect outlet is those schools. And maybe we just need to, like I said earlier, put it in their train of thought that, hey, they're the best promoter for our sport. They're the drivers. We can't promote the drivers better than they can promote themselves.
And two final thoughts. One, I also want to thank Joey for his service. I know, having past experience of being in the military, the dedication, the life, and knowing he's doing what he's doing, plus being a race car driver and everything else, I got to thank him for his service and tip my hat, because I know he's got to have a busy life. And also, for those that are listening to the show or any of the shows, make sure you guys continue to spread the word. Just like the local drivers out there need the support, or your local radio shows need the support. I dropped a bit of good information this morning. We have a little contest going here at the 110 Nation, and it's for all the shows, and I'm not going to go into the details, but the only detail you guys do need to know out there listening is make sure you guys continue to listen to the show, spread the word. Basically, if we can go 110 days, and which we're at day 2, but it's actually been longer than that. We just don't have the actual. Can't go back and get those actual stats right now. So we just have to begin with this being day 2, getting ready to go on day 3. But if we can go 110 days, and yes, I got this for those that have ever served at Fort Bragg. What they have at Fort Bragg is if the 82nd can go 82 days without any incidents, I think it's any deaths, and it might even be any arrests. I can't remember. It's been so long since I was in.
Arrests with the military.
If they went 82 days with an incident, I think a death, or maybe it's I can't remember. They got a day off. And so I kind of implicated that if we can go 110 straight days of our shows and our audience increasing, not staying the same, but increasing. We are green every single day for 110 days straight. I have a little something for the staff here. So help support this staff. Help give them an opportunity to be rewarded, and make sure you guys spread the word and continue to tune in.
Wow. I mean, it's unbelievable, man. It really is. And, you know, we hold up a whole another extra hours. We talk about how great it is. But, man, if you go back and you listen to these shows, you tell me who's putting out better racing programming. Better?
Better and better.
Hello?
And better.
It's getting better and better. It is. It is.
Yeah, you guys, the show has definitely gotten better from where you guys were, and I'm not going to say the disconnect, but because you guys had never been on the show together to now where you guys are in sync. And fortunately for me, I get to see the backside of it as well, and how well you guys communicate, not only while we're doing the show, as you guys communicate back and forth, which makes the show flow really, really good, but throughout the whole week, as Chris and Damien and myself are all in a group chat, so we need to, stay in constant conversation. I do the same thing with Steve Billmeyer and his show. Same thing with Miss Lee and all the behind-the-scenes stuff she does with the 110 Nation Sports Show. And then we also have a group where all of us are together. And just, I could be, as a matter of fact, I think it was last night I was laying in bed and my phone, before I turned the volume up, it was ding, 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 ding. I think it was like 43 messages. And I looked over and looked at Shorty, and I'm like, I don't even want to acknowledge I've seen this conversation. I said, because I do not want to go back through 23 messages to figure out what's going on. And they're going to see that I looked at it and ignored them. I didn't want them to feel that they were being ignored. I just had to be up 4:30 in the morning. Here it was 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't even want to jump into that whole thing, or it might have been 12 o'clock. I don't know. My time anyway.
That's communicating. That's networking. Sure. It's like, we have a thing at 110 where we treat this like $1 billion corporation. We have conferences, we have butt chewings, we have good jobs passed out. We keep an eye on growth. We have weekly stats. We do this with the eye that we do have less than others, but that doesn't keep our shows from being more. And I love that. I love that passion that 110 brings to it. And make sure you guys go check out yellowcautionflag.com. And we are debuting a new product line. It's the Dirt Life, thedirtlife.net. We have some T-shirts and some hats that are going to come along. But I promise you're investing not into a T-shirt or a hat. You're actually investing into the future of film production in Southeast Mississippi. And we've got some professional guys that are going to take this to the top. And we also have something pretty big in store, and it's still a big secret, so I can't tell anybody. Ha-ha. What you guys think about the show tonight?
Oh, another awesome show. Great lineup as always. And, I like the fact of young Drew Smith having a good head on his shoulders. He'll be able to go out there and represent what Rusty Schlink does for the racing youth, I think, with great honor. He's a very well-spoken individual.
All right. Well, we've gone over a little bit of the time here. Once again, if you are looking to maybe get some advertisement from within the racing, we're looking for serious inquiries. We want to take the show to the next level. We want to get on video. We're shared on Spreaker, Periscope, Blog Talk Radio, several sites now. You can go to the Dirt Talk Hour at .blogspot.com and get the show links there. Follow us through the Facebook, social media crowd. Jason, I didn't mean to keep you. Go ahead.
I got one, since I got a bunch of race fans out there listening to the show, I want to throw this out real quick for our lineup. tomorrow night, Steve Vilmar. If you guys don't know who Steve Vilmar is, you listen to the show. He used to crew chief Tim Richmond in the day, Jeff Bodine. He's done Jimmy Johnson. He's done local track racing. He had his team, everything else. Himself and I will be on tomorrow night here on the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network, 7 p.m., Rubbing His Racing, to recap today's race out there in California. Also, tomorrow night on the 110 Nation Sports Show, we have Xfinity driver and team owner B.J. McLeod joining us. Tuesday night, we got Thomas Prater and Dominique Van something. I can't remember the last name off the top of my head. She's a K&M Pro Series driver. And then also we have Greg Little's son, Jesse Little, joining us Wednesday night as well. So we got a bunch of drivers lined up on the 110 Nation Sports the 110 Nation Sports Show side of the house this week too. So make sure you guys tune in all week.
Awesome.
Sounds great.
Stuff.
All right,
I think
Damon.
that's about to do it for us, Chris.
Yeah, definitely. And we need to get you into a few dirt tracks over there. Use some of this media stuff to get you back in these racetracks, Damian. We'd love to get some live feed from you and post it up on YellowCautionPlay.com.
I'm impatiently waiting. I mean, I am so ready. It's
all right.
close.
This guy's eager. He wants to help. He wants to get into a local track. He's a good talker, so I would hire him as an announcer for the kitchen at the concession stands. But no, I'm just kidding. No, Damian's great, and we're glad to have you there. But thank you guys for listening to the Dirt Talk Hour and the extended version where we just chat around and talk the dirt talk that we've been going over through the night. Damian, close it out for us, man. Thank y'all very much. I appreciate all the people that are listening, and those of you that are hanging on. Good night, and we'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Next week, same time, 8 o'clock Central, and we're going to have our Canadian special to find out what racing's like north of the border. And want to thank Brent New and Drew Smith and Joey Hiatt for being on this evening. We'll share all their media stuff on our stuff, so be sure and keep up with them throughout the 2016 season. And once again, thanks to everybody at 110 Sports Nation, YellowCautionFlags.com. From everybody here at the Dirt Talk Hour, we'll see you next week.
Thank y'all. Good night.
Geico presents sharing versus oversharing. Today, Bridget Griffin shared a video of her daily yoga routine, 2 self-help articles, and her new blog called Build Your Inner Bridge with Bridge. Girl, your sharing has turned into oversharing. No worries, Bridge. Geico has some info worth sharing with your 7 blog followers, like how you could save money on your car insurance, update your policy, and report a claim just by visiting geico.com. How's that for building your inner bridge? Bridge, Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.